This is what I'm saying.
Well, let me put it this way. We don't have enough psychiatrists to treat 100 million people. So you tell me what our society is saying. We did not produce enough psychiatrists, nor will we, to treat 100 million people, yet Obama and the Obamacare people say we have mental health provisions. No, we don't have any. We have no provisions.
Well, let me ask you this. What I'm saying is it seems like the decadence you read about in empires that are about to fall is really going to seed right now, and I really see people that want to work, that are normal, that care about just being happy and being secure, versus hordes of spoiled, rotten, bizarro totalitarians that call themselves leftists trying to conquer us with their mental illness. I mean, isn't there times in history when a large portion of society goes insane because of cultural reasons or whatever, and then they end up assaulting the people that aren't insane?
Well, what we have now is we have gone, and that's what I was trying to say from the beginning, we have gone from a republic to an empire. When we have soldiers in 722 bases in 220 countries without any clear directive as to why we're there, other than the fact we're Pax Americana, we have basically eviscerated the nature of our republic. And without leadership, what happens is every segment of our society starts to regress and falls back to the weakest element.
That's it.
And that's what's happening. And now we are literally falling back to the weakest element. We don't have education. We don't have infrastructure.
And the elite's waging war on men. The Russians are holding men up because they know that's what's going to make a strong society. What type of elite, or is it just Hollywood mental illness, wants to screw up men? I just cannot believe it.
Wow, there's a whole notion now where we have more and more people of other persuasions that are in politics. Look at Mr. Asterisk. Look at the amount of homosexuals that we have who will, and I have nothing against them, but the whole issue of feminizing men has become a prevalent issue in the United States and the United States culture. When you have Bruce Jenner on the cover of Vogue magazine, I find that sick.
We must be weak if our national obsession is men becoming women. I mean, that just sounds like the signpost of a country about to collapse to me. It just...
Well, it is. And in turn, you can understand how the Muslims in the Middle East can look at us and say we're a completely decadent society. When you have a Bruce Jenner rationalizing how he was a woman all the time and then transformed it and glorifies it and reifies it on Vogue magazine, and then you have a media campaign, you realize we've lost our whole concerns.
Absolutely. I mean, just the focus, it should be on space exploration or scientific developments.
Correct.
If you want to be a woman, go ahead, but don't force feed me, and I'm sick of it. Final segment with Dr. Pachenik straight ahead. Powerful transmission. All right, Dr. Steve Pachenik of stevepachenik.com. Folks can find your books there, including your latest nonfiction. I just see a general mental illness in the public, and especially in young people, either they're awake or they're just into being losers, into being decadent. For decadence' sake, it's a media-induced malaise. I guess the disease of the Hollywood elite, who we know are incredibly decadent, is now kind of transmuting in a mob psychology to the public. And it's growing, and I don't mean to be hysterical, but in closing, can you speak to what you see as a psychiatrist, and then any other key points here in the last 4 minutes?
Well, basically what I'm seeing is that we're a nation that has lost our own direction because of the absence of leadership, and we're accountable for that. We have to begin to say to ourselves, what do we want as a leader? Do we want a woman who's been involved in a history of liaisons, which may or may not be legal, who's been involved in chicanery? Do we want a man who's been involved in a history of illegal activities and who has never had a real job or never been in the military? We are not holding our leaders accountable at the level of voting, at the level of accountability, at the local level. We're allowing the big donors to basically steamroll us through into a situation which is not acceptable. At some point, we will blow. That means at some point, the local entities will refuse to have the military in their presence. They will refuse to have their sons go into the military. And I see the reverse. I see people who are very well dedicated to this country, who have very strong Christian values, who work exceedingly hard and are very disappointed with our government, but they've basically decided to work their hours and create their businesses, and they're doing it well in the South. That's what I see. So I see the reverse of that. I've left the areas where I find the millennials and those who came out of college and have no skills, or even those who have skills, who complain that there are no jobs and indulge themselves in drugs, and there is a problem. They don't want to create their own businesses. They're not able to create their own business.
They're spoiled brats that want to dominate producers as their act of conquest. They don't join the military to be a man. They don't do a business to be a man. They don't help the community be a man. They run around trying to dictate culture, just like every other spoiled, rotten kid tries to tell their parents what to do until they throw them out. Thank you so much, Dr. Pachenik.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Roy.
Thank you. I'm going to come back, thank you, sir, in overdrive on the House of Cards point that I didn't make.
Visit GCNlive.com today.
Government is running Al-Qaeda and ISIS. It's just all coming out. So we're now entering this paradox where they either lie and say none of it's happening, the politicians, or they say, oh, it's no big deal. And they try to get the military and the police prepared to go after patriots. There wouldn't be any businesses left if you took out the patriots. We're the only people around basically doing anything. And so this war on reality is going to come to an end. And as Dr. Pachenik said, it's going to blow. And so the preparations of DHS are to deal with it blowing. The blowing is like blood cells, white blood cells coming to an infection, morons. Somebody's got to say no to all the deviants. And by deviants, I don't mean somebody that, likes to go drink beer or, whatever. I'm talking about people that are just into being deviant to be deviant. They want to pull everything down. They want to conquer it. It's their temper tantrum. It's like a bad cat you have that you don't know why it craps on your bed, but it doesn't. You got a bad cat. A good cat wouldn't act like that. Everybody that's had cats knows about bad cats. We got bad cats running the country. And you got a house of cards here. We don't have to pull the biggest one at the bottom out. You pull out some top ones, a lot of it will collapse, and then more will collapse down. You can pull one out anywhere it's coming down. The 28 pages, all of it, it's already collapsed. It's just that in time, the 1 or 2 seconds it takes for it to fall is like a decade. They already know it's fallen. When you've got Congress with an 8% approval rating in Gallup, that's a collapsed government. They either go the Kim Jong-un way and rule by guns, or they're done. But thank God we got people like Rand Paul up there just telling about the elephant in the room and saying we got to get the NSA spying on everybody to stop. It's illegal. It's been ruled illegal. And the mainstream media acts like he's a space alien with 14 heads. And the Republican leadership acts like he's a demon. And then go, you made a really bad decision. This will hurt your career. As if that's all that matters. I can get killed doing what I'm doing. And almost everybody else just goes with what's safe. Don't you realize at a certain point, if one side of the boat was safe, because let's say there was a swordfish flopping around on deck. One just killed a guy this week. They're dangerous. My son caught a 5-foot one, cut the guy on the boat when it came in the boat just a few weeks ago. That was just a 5-foot one. If everybody runs the other side of the boat to get away from the swordfish, it's going to tump over. The ship's going to go on top of you, and it's going to kill everybody. You don't run from the swordfish. You gaff it, or you kick it over the side of the boat. But see, everybody gets so threatened by the globalists, they run to one side of the boat, boom, the ship tumps over. You ever seen a stampede of people running and then they start killing each other, falling over each other? It's a time bomb how domesticated and wimpy people are. And I'm not on the power trip. But I get around the general public, and, man, they are narcissistic. They are conceited. They are dumb. They don't know how anything works. And I'll be honest with you, it's being in Austin. Austin wasn't like this 23 years ago when I first moved here from Dallas. Dallas was just rough and aggressive and dominant and male. And I moved down here, and it's got some nice aspects, but it is overall more of a feminine city. And people just dominate through manipulation and through complaining and through weird neuroses and passive-aggressive stuff. And it's growing because the rejects that couldn't make it in California. They're not really Californians, and that's a point Californians made to me. And all these other folks are now running here. The same people's parents who ran to California and failed, they're now coming here. And just experiencing them, it's like they're not alive. They're just these mindless morons. And we cannot allow them to take over. We have to defeat them. And in a republic, they don't have a right to make us their slaves just because they vote to hook us up to, a plow. It's just not happening.